Hello everyone, this is Asel Sorbekova here, your guide, expert, your go-to person to understanding matters of fast fashion and sustainability the legal way. I spent many years studying international law, labor rights, human rights, those types of things. So I have tons and tons of information to share with you here on my channel. And this video is going to be about me giving my 2 cents about who is to blame for fast fashion's negative impacts. For an in-depth understanding of what is fast fashion and why it is what it is, check out my video entitled Fast Fashion, the Unspoken Truth and Human Rights, right here. The current tendency of fashion brands to produce clothes that were made without due regard for the environment, human rights and health resulted in very cheap and low-quality clothes. Their extreme cheapness, accessibility, and influx of retail shops became a reason for people to shop more often than needed. Shopping thus became a therapy, a hobby, or a regular Saturday afternoon activity for many. As a result, clothes became all the more disposable than ever. An unsustainable way of living in search for a perfect outfit and desire to keep getting shiny objects in the world of social media, consumptionism, and materialism has thus resulted in people buying unnecessary products and low and poor quality clothes which end up in our dumpsters, in our landfills. The cloth particles, microfibers, and textile and garment dyeing products are ending up in our soils, waters, and oceans, contaminating our fish, animals, fruits, and vegetables to the point of causing cancers and chronic diseases to humans. We consumers do this every day without realizing one thing: what is going on behind the scenes of the fast fashion industry, and what is the true cost of fast fashion. And this is only a beginning unless we embrace the dangers of the fast fashion industry and take actions. The thing is that fast fashion is on the agenda of the United Nations organization, and many international organizations, they talk about how bad it is. For example, according to UNCTAD, I will put the abbreviation here, that is a United Nations institution, the fashion industry is the second largest polluting activity in the world. So think about it, the second largest polluting activity in the world. So UNCTAD further goes on to say that some 93 billion cubic meters of water, enough to meet the needs of 5 million people, is used by fashion industry annually, and around 500,000 tons of microfiber, which is the equivalent of 3 million barrels of oil, is now being dumped into the ocean every year. That's shocking. So the same organization, UNCTAD, goes on to say that the fashion industry's carbon emissions prevail over those of all international flights and maritime shipping taken as a whole. Apart from the environmental pollution, there is also a human cost. Workers of infamous sweatshops work under unsafe working conditions. They are underpaid and work long, extensive hours, which under some circumstances may qualify as a forced labor. Child labor and violence against women are also other big issues, to name only a few. The reason behind this drastic situation lies in the development of the business model that received its unofficial name as being fast fashion, as a result of the expression of the worldwide concern about human rights and the environment due to production of clothes for fast fashion brands, coupled with the fact that the fashion industry pretty much gets away without being responsible for these things. So what is fast fashion? I think that it is worth explaining it every time, and we cannot get it wrong if we do so, because I feel that we should remind ourselves of what it really means each time we talk about it. This is some serious matter, the fast fashion. So if you try to Google fast fashion and try to find its definition, you will come across the definition that is given by the Merriam-Webster dictionary. The definition is from the Merriam-Webster dictionary, is quite concise and up to the point. So I put it right here, but so that you can better understand what is fast fashion. Fast fashion is about the cheapest way of production and the fastest way of production. So cheap, fast, these are two components that come together when it comes to fast fashion, and they are unalienable. So yeah, that is what fast fashion is. But fast fashion is not only this, it's quite complicated than that. It involves lots of factors and, most importantly, stakeholders. And this video would be about this, as I mentioned, about 4 actors that actually make fast fashion. So how do we produce clothes fast and that are cheap from the moment of production and to the point of selling it to the hands of a consumer or buyer? We do it through production of clothing in countries where labor is cheap via a local garment factory. So the key point here to remember is a quick and cheap production, and another key point, regardless of the human cost. Fast fashion brands work with garment factories and sweatshops located in China, Bangladesh, Myanmar, India, Cambodia, Vietnam, and others. These are the ones that I've heard, countries that produce clothes for fast fashion brands. For Europe, and I heard that, mostly for Europe, and I heard that the ones that produce clothes for the US and Canadian markets, they are in Latin America, but correct me if I'm wrong. Therefore, fast fashion revolves around the concept of creation of garments in countries other than the country of residence of the brand itself, thus without ownership of the garment factory by the fashion brand itself. For example, H&M operates in Sweden, but it works with garment factories in Bangladesh, China, etc., just like other brands. And now we are coming to the central question, which is the subject matter of this video. Who is to blame for all this? Well, I think that, of course, if we make a thorough and detailed and very comprehensive, long analysis, then we can come up with lots and lots of reasons as to why fast fashion is causing all this and who is to blame for. But to me, it seems that there are majorly, I'm saying majorly, I'm not excluding other factors, there are 4 actors that are to blame for the consequences of the fast fashion industry. I think that the first one is these are governments of countries of the global south from where fast fashion brands order clothes, who are authorizing a low-wage labor market to boost their country's economies and are thus inviting fashion brands. Every time workers in these countries demand better wages and go for a strike or a rally, law enforcement officials meet them with violence and suppress them. Second, fast fashion brands are willingly coming to these countries where labor is cheap and where they can get the best deal. Honestly, for example, in Central Asia, Kyrgyzstan, a ready-made garment industry is very developed, and there are numerous garment factories across the country, mostly in industrial cities, but you get the point. But so workers in this country, in the ready-made garment industry, they get minimum 150-ish US dollars. And the ones that are more experienced, they get about 300 to 400 US dollars per month. So basically, if you compare this country's ready-made garment industry, by the way, there's nothing to do with the production of clothes for a fast fashion industry, for fast fashion brands. And thank God. But I'm just giving you an example. This is also a third world country. Asian country, but the discrepancies between some countries, developing countries, and others in terms of wages in the same industry are huge. So that's the example I gave you so that you can understand that these fast fashion brands, they do not go to countries where they could pay a relatively okay salary, but they especially go to countries like Bangladesh, Cambodia, where the salary is less than $100. I mean, this is insane. So just a small but an important correction here. Bangladesh is a least developed country, although if it will succeed, it will move from this category to a category which is called a developing country. It will happen if it will happen in 2024, whereas Kyrgyzstan is a developing country. So these two countries, they're not in the same category, right? But at the same time, they're not developed countries, or they're not, their development, economical level is not, economic development level is not on the level of Eastern Europe, for example. But the point I'm trying to make here is that these fast fashion brands, they specifically go for country shopping, meaning that, they go specifically to those countries where labor is the cheapest, that being Bangladesh and others, of course. Third, garment factories that belong to local entrepreneurs are creating unsafe working conditions and are making workers work insanely extensive working hours under the pressure from fast fashion brands to produce clothes within 10 to 12 days, because obviously these fast fashion brands, they need to produce 24 to 52 collections per year, like once a week, and this is totally crazy. And finally, the fourth actor to blame for is you. And also that's me too, because, well, I am, I buy from fast fashion because for the moment, I don't see myself doing any other way. But what I've done is that I've just, decided to completely stop and just, took care of my closet and, stock up on essentials, the good ones, not, going for the ones that are trendy, just classical pieces. Having said that, I will conclude by saying that the current pattern that exists in the world of fast fashion is that fast fashion brands are going to countries whose labor and human rights protection mechanisms are one of the lowest and labor is one of the cheapest. Fashion brands are declining the tiniest portion of responsibility for human rights and labor rights and ecological damage, environmental damage, following the work of local garment factories, because they are really not present in the field. As I said, fast fashion brands do not have their presence in the countries where they get their clothes from, but there are of course exceptions to the rule. So this is because, fast fashion brands, they have built a business model according to which they do not hire workers, but work with local garment factories who are employers of these workers. And as mentioned, it takes everyone, states that create a favorable environment for fast fashion brands, sweatshops that exploit workers, which means fashion brands most often also, even if indirectly, but still, or, allegedly directly participate in the whole thing. And also consumers of fast fashion products are also to blame. That's it for now. For a detailed understanding on what is fast fashion and how fast fashion works, check out my video, Fast Fashion, The Unspoken Truth and Human Rights. The link is up here. To watch similar videos like this, click the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, press like, share this video, and join me every Sunday, 10 a.m. CET. And also, leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with me. Until then, take care and see you next time.